shocking moments from the set of Esref Rüya lit up the entire fandom, and one name stood right at the center of it all: Hazal Kaya. Welcome to Turkish Series Stars. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and support the channel so you never miss the drama, the whispers, and the unforgettable moments. Now, dear lovers of the series, let's talk about the scene that turned the latest episode into an event. The sequence didn't just top ratings. It dominated timelines and sent viewers into a frenzy, all because Hazal chose guts over comfort and stepped into an action set piece with no stunt double to cushion the risk. What unfolded on that set wasn't merely choreography and camera tricks. It was a lesson in resolve, discipline, and refined performance, an actress walking the fine line between danger and artistry and making it look inevitable. Today, we're taking you behind the curtain. How Hazal readied her body and mind, how the crew set the table for something that felt both dangerous and safe, how the energy between Hazal and her partner in the series, Çağatay Ulusoy, pushed the moment to another level, and the way fans turned admiration into a movement online. If you're curious how one scene became the talk of the season, stay with us until the end. Esref Rüya has been a ratings magnet since the premiere, but the heat around this week's episode was different. Audiences weren't just entertained, they were breathless. Hazal Kaya and Çağatay Ulusoy have always turned their scenes into moments, but this time, the moment became a marker. The episode's centerpiece was a kidnapping sequence that yanked the story's pulse to a sprint. A double stood ready on the sidelines, a standard precaution for complex falls and violent scrambles. Hazal looked at the pads, the marks, and the choreography, and decided to do it herself. That single choice changed everything. It wasn't recklessness, and it wasn't bravado. It was fidelity to character and story. Hazal trusted the preparation. She trusted the crew. And she trusted the decades of muscle memory that come from giving all of yourself to a role. When an actor chooses authenticity at that level, the frame changes. The risk becomes part of the performance, the viewer feels it in their bones. From that decision onward, every piece of planning mattered even more. The set adjusted around her. Assistant directors walked through the beats again and again. Fight coordinators reset the timing by fractions. Pads were expertly concealed. Props were tested with a patient, surgical thoroughness. The Steadicam team rehearsed their footing so that the lens could ride with Hazal without smothering her space to perform. The result? The sequence shot without interruption, clean across its main coverage, with Hazal carrying both the terror and the struggle. And yes, the aftermath was real: bruises along the forearms, a scrape that needed disinfectant, that familiar deep throb in the muscle that only a long day of controlled falls can bring. Yet between takes, she kept her breath locked into character, saving the physical release for the rap and the smile for the last slate. If you ask anyone who has followed her career, this outcome shouldn't surprise. Hazal has always married craft with rigor. She lives inside the emotional spine of a scene, then maps her body onto it with the sort of precision you'd expect from a dancer. For the kidnapping sequence, she rehearsed the same core confrontation from multiple angles, not just to remember where to land or where to place her hands, but to coordinate her breath with the camera's arc and the beats of panic that the character was spiraling through. The challenge wasn't just staying safe. It was preserving the character's unraveling while hitting marks in a sprint. That balance, velocity on the outside, coherence on the inside, is where the scene found its heat. Every fall had a purpose, every gasp a thought. Hazal didn't simply survive the action, she translated the character's mind onto the screen. Suddenly, we weren't watching a thrilling set piece. We were inside a person's nightmare, counting heartbeats with her. Now, let's talk about the person who caught that energy and aimed it back: Çağatay Ulusoy. His timing locked perfectly to hers, and his presence softened the edges in all the right places. On set, he has a way of standing steady that lets his partner push further. The chemistry between them, two professionals who know each other's rhythms, turned the rescue beats into a magnet for the eye. When Hazal pushed past the fear, he matched her with grounded intensity. Off camera, he hovered just outside the frame between takes, checking that she was fine, that the harness sat right, that the next fall would land exactly where both safety and storytelling demanded. That mutual trust mattered, and you could feel it in the final cut. The crew brought their A-game to serve what the actors were building. Specialized rigs allowed the camera to get uncomfortably close without risking the shot. Lighting designed for movement kept the frame alive during rapid transitions. The fight design was layered, first the panic, then the scramble, then the spark of resistance, so that each moment carried a different emotional note. Nothing rushed, nothing wasted. They were constructing an illusion that felt brutally immediate. Hazal's choice to go without a double is consistent with the way she's approached roles for years. She refuses the disconnect that can happen when a stand-in handles the most visceral beats. For her, the sweat matters. The sting matters. The tremor in the hands that you can't fake matters. She'd done brave work before, but this combination of physical peril and raw emotional unspooling carried a special charge, one that few performers dare to sustain through an entire sequence. The internet reacted like it was watching live. Within minutes of the episode's airing, timelines filled with edits, loops, and scene breakdowns. A simple phrase, Hazal Kaya did it without a double, became the sentence of the night. Fans posted breathless comments, some praising the way she layered fear with defiance, others marveling at the clean fluidity of the falls. One wrote that an action scene only works if the heart beats through it, and Hazal made every beat count. Another said she raises her own bar each project and that this time, she turned a lesson into a landmark. A third called it a masterclass in both nerve and nuance. Viewers replayed the sequence again and again, searching the frame for proof of what they already felt, that there was no swap, no trick, no substitute for an actor who commits. And as the clips spread, so did the show's reach. The conversation didn't just celebrate bravery, it examined craft. People asked about the edit, the fall distances, the breath marks before the hard turns. They watched not only as fans, but as students of how performance lives in the smallest choices. Behind the smooth final cut was a battlefield of careful planning. Safety briefings, step-by-step run-throughs, time given for muscle memory to settle. Because Hazal insisted on doing the motions herself, nothing could be left to chance. Each move had to be real enough to register and controlled enough to repeat without chaos. The cinematography leaned into this. Close-ups stole flashes of her face mid-struggle, letting the viewer see the fear function like a thought rather than a scream. Wider angles opened only when the choreography demanded it, so that the body's fight told the story just as clearly as the dialogue. Watching the scene from a distance, you might think it was an adrenaline spectacle. But linger on any shot and you'll notice the grammar of intention, the way she glances toward an exit she knows she can't reach, the calculation in the set of her shoulders before a sudden twist, the breath she takes just before the floor gives way. This was acting that demanded an athlete's math and an artist's ear. What does a moment like this mean for younger actors watching from the wings? It's a message. You can chase realism without being reckless, and you can respect safety while rejecting shortcuts that dull the truth. Hazal's blend of courage and discipline didn't just inspire fans, it set a standard. Inside the industry, her colleagues were talking about it. Directors, stunt teams, and performers passed around the scene like a study text, noting how the emotional arc never broke even when gravity got involved. The ratings reflected the mood. SRF Ruya's latest episode surged, not only with the core audience but with curious onlookers drawn by the buzz. Entertainment sites ran think pieces that framed the moment as a lesson in professional commitment. Critics noted how Hazal carried intensity in both muscle and feeling, praising the unbroken thread between the character's inner turmoil and the outward chaos. It's the kind of work that invites big words, dedication, artistry, nerve, and actually earns them. All signs point to more of this ambition in the episodes ahead. No one is promising stunts for the sake of stunts, this isn't a circus. But when the story demands danger, when a character's desperation needs to be seen and not told, expect Hazal to stand there again, suited up, ready to do the hard part herself. Fans will be waiting, rewinding, sharing, debating. The show has become a weekly ritual where craft is the headline and emotion is the hook. In the end, what remains is simple: courage, professionalism, and inspiration. The scene didn't land because it was loud or because it was risky, it landed because the risk was in service of the truth. The synergy among the crew, the steady hand of the directors, the crisp strategy of the stunt team, and the unspoken language between Hazal Kaya and Çağatay Ulusoy made the sequence unforgettable. It proves that Esref Rüya's success isn't anchored only in script or in glossy production values, but in the unteachable hunger of its leads to give an audience something real. Hazal's performance etched itself into the memory of viewers who felt seen inside her panic and uplifted by her resilience. For a long time, people will remember not just that she did the scene without a double, but that she did it with soul. That is what lingers once the cut clears and the lights go down. And now, here's your promised peek behind the scenes. You'll see a performer who never let the fear swallow the craft, a team who turned risk into method, and a co-star who met that commitment with his own. This wasn't mere spectacle, it was a clear-eyed example of what it takes to inhabit a character completely. The bruises will fade, but the lesson stays: when courage partners with preparation, the camera tells the truth. What did you think of the sequence and of Hazal's performance? Share your thoughts in the comments, tap like if you felt that rush, and subscribe to Turkish series stars so you're here when the next big moment drops. If you want more behind-the-scenes details, fresh gossip, and thoughtful analysis of Esref Rüya, turn on notifications and follow along. Every new episode arrives loaded with surprises, and we'll be right here catching every heartbeat, every breath, and every risk. Happy New Year!